Good afternoon, one and all. And welcome to those who are here in person, and welcome to those who have joined us via Zoom to the Spiritualist Society of Burlington on this very, very auspicious day. I'm Reverend James Kinnear, President of the Spiritualist Society of Burlington, and joining me on the platform is Reverend Jana Hefferman, Reverend Karen Harkness, Reverend TC down here in the tech support, John Johnson, who is joining us via Zoom, and of course, our guest, our ministerial candidate, Andrew Bing. Friends, Andrew Michael Bing having been invited by the Board of Directors to become a minister of the Spiritualist Society of Burlington for ordination in this sacred and responsible office. On your behalf, I therefore offer a sincere welcome to him and his sponsor, John Johnson, who over the years has been a source of support to Andy and is joining us here to be his sponsor. So I'd like now to invite Reverend Jana Hefferman to step forward to open our service with prayer.
Thank you, Jim. Afternoon. Ask everybody to go into the silence of this day, bow your heads, and commune with the God of your own understanding, the God that resonates within your heart in a very special and unique way. Infinite Spirit, kind, caring, and loving God, we are truly blessed this day to be here and gather together as like minds, friends, and family. We are here to celebrate a new beginning, a new direction, and a new path in life. We know without hard work, dedication, that this day would not have come. We are very grateful for each and every one of you here today who share in the love and the healing that is in this room. And we know that God is with us always, directing us on a path of righteousness. We know as we move forward in our lives, it's very important for us to remember that what we have in this room is the love and the healing that doesn't just stay here, but it's up to us to be responsible to take it outside of these four walls and share it with all who we come in contact with. We are truly blessed for everything that we are given by God, and for this we are truly grateful. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Jana. Through the ages, there has been ordination by the power of Spirit. Lives have been consecrated to the promulgation of spiritual truth. And this act of consecration was the seal of confirmation of their office as spiritual guides, philosophers, and friend to their fellows. Today, we follow a tradition of ordination that has special significance in our own religion, and which demands from those who are called to that high office a dedication and unswerving loyalty. We have once more become aware of inspiration from the spiritual realms. Since revelation from the spirit world and communication have long guided our movement, we once again call upon our spirit mentors to influence this act of consecration, which we are all about to witness. Our knowledge, which fosters within us compassion and a greater understanding of the natural order of life, is the measure of our time and responsibility. Andrew Bing, you have been invited to be a minister of the Spiritualist Society of Burlington, and you are here today to present yourself for ordination to that sacred and high office. Do you confirm your ability, willingness to accept ordination to the ministry?
I do.
Do you, John Johnson, confirm that as a sponsor to Andrew Bing, you will support and assist him as far as you are able?
I do.
Then, John, I would now like to invite you to offer to those present a few words on Andy's journey in spiritualism.
Thank you. Well, who would have thought after 20 years we got here? Myself and Andy, we met very early within our own development, and I've been very fortunate to see his growth as not only as a medium and a spiritualist, but also as a man. He served many churches in the UK. He ran the church in Birmingham, and I was very fortunate to be there to take part of services. We've supported each other all through his training and development. I've watched him grow as a tutor at the college, to pass his exams, to become the teacher at the college, or the Arthur Findlay College. But I think the most important thing is how he's grown in his own individuality, and how he's managed to bring the true essence of his own spirit to this world. He stands within his own power. He shares his own truth. He allows himself to be inspired by his inspirers. He allows himself to be within his truth, his beauty, his honesty. He follows his own nature. He follows his own light and his own truth. And he always tries to encourage others to do the same. Very often when we come into spiritualism, we are searching for something. We're looking for something. And I suppose one of the most common things we hear is about people feeling as if they've came home. So I really know that when Andy came into mediumship, although he maybe never thought of spiritualism as the final foundation of where he was going to arrive, but I know that spiritualism has become the foundation of who he is, and mediumship is something he can do. So I know that his gift, his ability, his heart, his love, his compassion is something which is unbounded. I know that on behalf of everybody here, I'm sure it's important that you know how much we love you, how much we care about you, and how proud we are of how far you've came. And I hope that this ceremony for you is also for you a coming home to your own spiritualism. Because I know that over the coming days, weeks, months, years, that you're going to grow even more into this truth of your own spiritualism. And I know that this truth, you're going to encourage others to find their truth. I'm sure that Canada is very lucky right now, having somebody like yourself to be there to work and to share the love and the passion that you have for spiritualism. I know that you have your life in Canada. That is your home. I know you have Jacqueline, your wonderful wife. She has become your home. I hope and pray that you cement the truth of your spiritualism by you feeling home. So good luck with everything that you do. And I know that you will pull everybody forward and make them into the best of they can be for themselves, because it's just who you are. It's who you've always been, and it's who you were born to be. So thank you, Andy, for being you.
Thank you so much, John, for those wonderful, inspiring words in the support of our candidate, Andrew Bing. It was said of old, many are called, but few are chosen. The proof that you, Andrew Bing, were chosen in the fruits of your labors. You have proved through your actions, your deeds, that you are worthy of this high calling. Seek always in your personal and your public life to demonstrate the divine in the human by graciousness of spirit, understanding of mind, and generosity of nature. Learn, if possible, to suffer fools gladly, for it is they who will need you the most. Fortify your soul through the inner silence and communion with Spirit, for you will need all your spiritual strength to face the contempt of the ignorant, the patronage of the vain, the enmity of those who oppose you. You will need inner strength to overcome the natural temptations of your earthly life, to bring forward at all times that part of you which is linked to the internal spirit. Never assume that having taken on the mantle of a minister, you will be freed of the problems of this world, but know that you have the power and support of spirit at all times. Be tolerant, but not to the extent that you compromise your high principles. Let the light that shines in your own soul be reflected in your face, your words, your actions, and your deeds. Your message to the world is one of joy and liberation, the message of true religion. You'll have your moments of exaltation and despondency. Beware of depending upon either of these states. Remember that as a minister of spiritualism, you will be dealing with two worlds, spirit and matter. Each must hold its place in your life. But be aware that your spirit is eternal and is transitory. Give priority to that which is of spirit. Base your life and conduct on our 7 principles of spiritualism, which at this time I would like to extend an invitation to invite Reverend T.C. Kendall forward to read them aloud.
Thank you very much. And Andy, it's truly a pleasure to be up here with you and to be part of this ceremony. Thank you. The 7 principles of spiritualism, we've got them on the TV here. We've also got them in the corner here. If you believe in these principles, please share them with me and recite them with me. We believe in the fatherhood of God, the brotherhood of man, the communion of spirits and the ministry of angels, the continuous existence of the human soul, personal responsibility, compensation and retribution hereafter for all the good and evil deeds done on earth, eternal progress open to every human soul.
And now we're going to listen to another song, and TC's going to raise the volume, Nearer My God to Thee.
Nearer, my God, to thee, nearer to thee, e'en though it be a cross that raiseth me, still all my song shall be,
Andrew, will you please rise and join me at the podium? Andrew Bing, you have proved yourself suitable to be a minister of the Spiritual Society of Burlington. Do you solemnly pledge to uphold at all times the truth of spiritualism?
I do.
Do you further pledge to be loyal and uphold the principles, philosophy, and teachings of spiritualism?
I do.
Andrew, I now invite you to read the obligation, giving due and reverent thought to all that it contains and implies.
I, Andrew Michael Bing, in the presence of the divine spirit of this assembly, both seen and unseen, having made a true study of the religion of spiritualism, and after solemn preparation in heart and mind, and specially through my communication with the world of spirit, do solemnly declare that I will dedicate my life to the teachings of spiritualism. Accepting and believing in the seven principles and all that they imply, I will serve God with all my heart and mind, and the spirit world with fervour and zeal, even as they have shown in ministering to my spiritual needs. I will endeavour to live according to the highest teachings of spiritualism, that no person may suffer through unworthiness on my part. I will honour truth, value virtue and goodness, and will set these above worldly possessions and material possession. I will respect chastity and will speak of people in their absence as I would in their presence. I will recognise mediumship as a sacred faculty to be exercised for the upliftment and progress of the human race. I will do no injustice and will use my influence to prevent such actions by others. I will heal the sick by using any power the divine spirit has given to me. I will comfort the broken-hearted. I will live honouring my God, my fellows, and myself. I pledge myself to this solemn obligation without mental reservation, and pray that, being considered worthy by my peers and by the spirit world for this ministry, I may become worthy in the sight of the divine spirit.
Andy, you have pledged yourself in the presence of God and this assembly, who are witness, to be faithful to your solemn obligation. I, as minister of the Spiritual Society of Burlington, humbly ordain you a minister of spiritualism. This is the highest office of recognition accorded by those of your chosen religion, and I charge you to be aware of your responsibilities in undertaking this office. Reverend Karen, we will now sign the certificate of ordination.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Reverend Andrew Michael Bing. And we welcome you to the ministry here at SSB, that you have long been a part of our church, but now you are going to grow in your next phase of your journey. And we look forward to being a part of that with you and to seeing where you will go. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, I like this part. Stay with me. Andy, with a very warm heart and a very sincere affection for the work that you do, I present to you your chosen regalia, and I charge you to be aware of your responsibilities in undertaking this office. And I strongly recommend you to wear it as such, with respect and giving due reverence and with honor. Congratulations, and I extend a handshake and brotherhood to you. May the light of the divine spirit dwell, shine within you, and guide you through your earthly ministry. May the presence of God and the spirit messengers always be with you. Ladies and gentlemen, those present and those on Zoom, I present to you for the very first time, Reverend Andrew Bing. Please be seated. You may as well be seated too, Andy, because we're going to play a song, a hymn. This next hymn holds a very, very, very deep and special memories for Andy. You see, when Andy began and started out his demonstrating for mediumship in the UK, he used to work at Sturbridge Spiritualist Church. This church was of the late spiritualist minister Eric Hatton, who was very good friends with Andy and gave him the opportunity to go to university. This version of the Lord's Prayer was played at the beginning of each of their divine services, and Eric was a leading force in getting a grant approved by a spiritualist church so Andy could go to university and get his master's degree. So it holds great memories, and it's great appreciation that we thank Eric in the spirit world for even his presence here and his presence when he's here on earth. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my distinct honor and privilege once again to present Reverend Andrew Bing to share his very first address as minister.
Reverend Jim, Reverend TC, fellow workers, friends and family, good afternoon. It's very difficult to know where to start when you go through something like I've just been through myself, but I think it would be amiss for me not to start by thanking Reverend Jim and TC for inviting me to become part of the ministry at the SSB. This church has actually become a very important part of my life. It's a place within these very four walls that I met my wife. Many of you might not know that. And over the course of the last several years, this SSB has also been instrumental in allowing me to be here in Canada and to be with you all today. So this place has a very special place in my heart, and I'd like to thank you both for what you've done for me and my own spiritual journey. And of course, I've been coming here for, must be now 10 years, maybe even a bit longer. It definitely feels longer, guys, if it hasn't been longer than 10 years. But over that course, you have always, as a congregation, welcomed me with open arms and made me feel a part, right from the day one, a part of your community. And it's a pleasure for me now to be able to serve and give back to you through this work as a minister for this church. Now, many of you would think me saying that accepting this invitation would be a very easy thing to do, but actually in the last few weeks, it's been very difficult for me to get to this point of truly accepting and even being here today. As you begin to think and reflect upon what this position, what this office really means, you begin to reflect upon yourself. Am I worthy as a person to represent the spirit world and spiritualism in this way? Have I got enough experience within my own spiritual journey to be able to help others along their way? And of course, you get to a point where you begin to recognize that the doubts that you have are nothing to do with if you're good enough, or if you're worthy, or if you have enough experience, but rather, are you willing in this moment to take one step closer to accepting who you truly are as an individual? It's been a very difficult journey through not just the last few weeks, but the last 20 years of finding who you are as a person. And I very much believe that each one of us that's sitting in this room were born into this world with a purpose. That each one of us, at the very heart of who we are as individuals, lies this great power, this power that has brought all things into being, a power which has breathed life within the very organism that we inhabit, that has given us consciousness. And that power is a universal power. It's the same within me as it is within you. It runs through all things. And rather than that power that we call God being a man sitting on a throne, a Poseidon-like figure, casting judgment on the world and holding the world within his hands, that power is within us. It runs through us and is expressed and experienced through our own expression. And while all of us contain and possess all of those qualities of the divine, those qualities that Aristotle so famously understood as virtues, those virtues that all of us across the whole world, every person recognizes and celebrates as being divine and true to what it is to be a good human. We all possess those qualities. We all have them. It's why, regardless of our race or our gender or the creeds or doctrines that we sign up to within our lives, each one of us is exactly the same. And yet, I believe that something wonderful happens that moment that we are born into the world, that moment that our heart beats for the very first time, that divine power, that universal power which is the same in each and every one of us, manifests within us in a very individual way. We only have to look at nature, ladies and gentlemen, to understand that that happens within us as human beings. If we take a simple oak tree, we know that if we look at oak trees in any country across the world, particularly the English oak, I must say, that's where I'm from, but the English oak looks the same in every country you see it in. That's why we know it's an oak tree. And yet, when we study the oak tree, we look at its leaves or its bark or the way it looks in terms of its structure, the branches and so on. Every single oak tree in the world is unique and individual. There's not two oak trees that are ever the same. And the same can be said of us as human beings. That we're all similar. We all have the ability to love, the capacity to love, the capacity to be loyal, the capacity to be hurtful. We all have all of the qualities. We all possess them. And yet the way that we express them, the way that those qualities of that divine power that we call God manifest through us is all unique and individual. 2 years ago, I had the pleasure of being alive to witness the birth of my nieces, twins. And even after, 12 months of just watching them, I already saw that they had this little personality. Twins, people, identical twins, almost exactly the same in terms of their DNA, and yet their personalities markedly different. Because even at the very earliest time within our lives, as that power, that personality, that unique manifestation of that power of the divine manifests through us, we're all different. And as that power manifests within us in that unique way, it gives rise to each one of us particular gifts and talents. That is, that from the very moment that we're born into the world, each of us has a unique talent and gift to offer the world itself. For some people like childhood prodigies, those gifts and talents are on the surface from the very beginnings of their life. We've all seen it, haven't we? Children playing concert pianist level piano at the age of 3 and 4. Impossible to teach. There's this raw talent that just happens to be on the surface within them. For others of us, those qualities and talents lie within us, and at a certain point within our life begin to come to the surface. For me, as I was reflecting upon the last 20 years of my life over the last weeks of leading up to this moment, there's a few moments that stuck out to me, moments that have never left me, but were so subtle, what I believed at the time to be inconsequential. For instance, I remember being 13 years of age, and I was sitting in a religious studies class in Bourneville Senior School, where I'm from. And my teacher was called Mr. Mason. He was quite a rotund man with a big beard. I'm hoping the imagery gives you a sense of being able to capture him in your minds. And I remember him talking to the class about the journey he was on originally to become a priest. He was in seminary school. He was training to become a priest. Then he realized that he couldn't have a wife, and so didn't end up doing it. And I remember as he was telling me the story, this thought that came to me, which has stuck with me for the last 25 years of my life. I thought, I'm going to do that one day. It was so fleeting. It was so inconsequential that I didn't really think anything of it at the time, but it's a thought, a moment in my life that has always stuck with me. Certain times in my life since then, that memory that I've just recollected to you has come back to me. And then 20, 25, 26 years later, here we are on the day of my ordination. You see, many of us, ladies and gentlemen, we have these qualities and these talents. They try to manifest within us, but we never do anything about them. You see, for me, that is really the meaning of life itself, or at least the beginnings of finding a meaningful life, is that we have to recognize that each of us have these qualities and these potentials within us. We have a way that we need to express ourselves. And the first stage of that journey is to actually look within ourselves, to really find what it is that our soul needs to be satisfied. How many of us through our lives have had an idea that keeps repeating itself? Oh, I'd like to be a nurse. You know, I look back at my own mum used to tell me all her life she wanted to be a textiles teacher. Never did it. Was that at the moment for her in that early part of her life, was that the true expression that she needed? The thing is, and this is the thing about life, she never became a textile teacher, but later on in life she became a teacher. That quality that she had, that was there all along from the very beginnings, we ignored it. With life perhaps unfolded in a way that didn't allow us to express that true quality of teaching. And yet life has a funny way, if we allow it, to move us back into that natural expression of who we are. Because you see, this is the thing, is that when we're born into the world, we're born, as I've said, as individuals. And the way that we are as human, these innate qualities that we possess as human beings, determine to some degree the way that we're going to interact and be within the world itself. And yet, the life that we live, the things that happen to us in life, the very things that perhaps we have no control over, those are the things that further individualize and shape us as humans. That we can't control how life is to unfold, but we can control the way in which we cope with those experiences and choose to handle them. And those decisions, ladies and gentlemen, I believe, are what further either allows us to move into our own power. They move us closer to being able to express in our most natural way those talents and qualities, those innate qualities that we have as humans. Or it can move us further away, complicate, frustrate that ability for that natural aspect of ourselves to be at the fore in our life. I've always been very lucky with my mum and dad, because they've always let me do whatever it is I felt I needed to do. And that's one thing that I have to be so grateful for. Give me 1 second, sorry. Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, that you've just I remember being an accountant. I used to be an accountant. You might not believe it. Maybe you do. I'm not sure. But I used to be an accountant for PricewaterhouseCoopers. I was a senior auditor for them. And I was probably, my early 20s. I was doing well. Mum and Dad probably was sitting on the couch thinking, oh, we've done our job now. And imagine your son coming home one day and saying, I'm leaving my job, I'm going to speak to the dead. That's what I pretty much did, right? And rather than them stopping me or saying, well, no, I don't think so, they just allowed me to be who I needed to be. Probably looked at the checkbook thinking, well, how much is it going to cost us this time to bail him out from the mistake he's about to make? But nevertheless, they allowed that to happen in my life. And that's what we need, ladies and gentlemen, because life is never straightforward. Think about it. There's these qualities that we have, these natural qualities that give way to these natural talents that need to express themselves in a certain way, and yet life changes us. Everything that we experience, every thought, every action, every word, every deed changes the very nature of that power that we are. And that's why life is so difficult, because it's a movable feast. Every moment that power of you changes as we interact with life itself. And yet, all of us are still trying to find and express that natural expression of who we are. How many of us, as we go through life, think that life is nothing more than a struggle? That everything that we have to do, we have to fight for, strive for, work for, challenge in order to be able to manifest and achieve. Look at nature. That's what happens out there. Every organism fighting for survival, striving to change. And that's what we have to face too. That's the natural thing about being human, is that we have to strive to unfold. And what all of us needs, surely, is someone to be able to reach out the hand of fellowship in those moments when we doubt, in those moments where perhaps we've made those decisions that have taken us further away from really becoming who it is that we need to be. That, for me, ladies and gentlemen, is what this office is all about. It's not about titles or wearing a nice stole or standing on a platform. It's really about seeing within people this need that they have, this natural desire that their soul has to become the best that they can become. That in this life, we all have the opportunity to be able to manifest in our own unique way the true manifestation of that power of God in this world. And yet many of us, most of us, myself included, we need that guidance and help. Without knowing it, my parents were my ministers. In the moments of doubt that I had, when I really, and you can ask my parents, you can ask my wife, because she's now at also on the end of this. Since the age of 18, I can't remember a year that I've had where life hasn't been challenging. I can't remember a year where I've not been taken to the very depths of myself. Since my wife and I have been married, there's not been a month that's gone by where there's not been something that could upend everything in our life. And yet, when you find that reason, ladies and gentlemen, when you search within and you're on the right track, and that power of you is able to express itself, not fully, but moving ever closer to finding its natural expression. We often expect life to get easier. I think it's the opposite. I think life gets harder. Because at those moments, as we begin to recognize that power of who we are, as we begin to allow that true power of our own soul to rise within us, to become more conscious of it, we begin to become conscious of our sensitivity begins to rise, and we become ever more mindful of the difficulties within our own lives and within the lives of others. If you read any writing from any spiritual person who has themselves gone on their own unique spiritual journey, they've always had times of not just feeling challenged and sad, but moments of true spiritual turmoil. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the hardest thing, as I said at the beginning of this address, is to accept who we truly are. Many of us live our lives in ignorance. We can hide who we are. We can make excuses for ourselves. We can begin to blame others. It's this that caused me to be this. It's that made me do this. And yet when we begin to recognize who we truly are, when we begin to recognize that spiritual power that runs through us, when we begin to allow it to manifest within this world and it become ever closer to touching it, we start to recognize our part to play. We begin to recognize our own nature, our faults, our strengths. We begin to build this open and honest relationship with ourselves. That's so difficult. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, I think the ministry is needed. You see, often I never come from an Orthodox church background. My parents were never really religious. I always thought going to see a minister, you had to be devoutly religious. You have to be really involved. But you don't. The true ministry doesn't happen inside of a church. It happens in the world around us. It happens just by simply being that ear to listen, the shoulder to cry on, being able to say to someone, it's hard, but you've got to carry on. It's difficult, it's challenging, but this is moving you ever closer to being who you truly need to be. And it's also, I think, about telling people you're in the wrong. Actually helping people to look and reflect upon who they are, to appreciate their own quality and nature of themselves. And I hope to do that not by coming into a church. I hope to be able to do that with all the people that I meet in my daily life that ask me for help. Life of service, ladies and gentlemen, is a life I believe is open to everybody. It doesn't matter what calling that you have, and you all have one. It doesn't matter if that calling is being a mother, a father, a nurse, a doctor. It doesn't matter if it's collecting the garbage from the side of the streets, cleaning the toilets, being a nurse. It doesn't matter what expression it is. If you can tell me that, if you can name me an expression that doesn't offer you the opportunity to serve people, I'm not sure what I'll do, but I'll be very surprised. Every expression that we have gives us the opportunity to serve. And I very much believe that a life of service is the highest form. And that doesn't mean that you're special. It doesn't mean that you're more worthy than other people. It simply means that it's an expression that's allowing you to find out who you are. And I believe that once we find that expression within us, once we allow it to come to the fore within our life and we begin to express it, we become a beacon of light within the dark. Every one of us. How many people in your life have you met where just by being in their presence, you feel better? How many people have you met where you can't name why or how or what the quality is, but there's just something special about them? I've been very fortunate to meet many men and women like that in my life. Not all of them spiritualists, many of them not spiritualists. These are the people that I recognize are being of service. They have, through their own expression in life, of being people that are now expressing the true nature of themselves, and like flies to a light or moths to a light, we become attracted. Don't know why, don't know how, but their power just draws us in like a magnet, because our soul recognizes something within their expression that we need. And that's what we can do, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think the ministry is for the few. I think all of us can be ministers in our own way. By living an example, a life through example of finding who we are, nurturing those qualities and talents, allowing them to be expressed in the world, we can then inspire other people to move into their own power and do the same, and so on and so on, until the whole world is filled with that light of the Spirit. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, I will dedicate my life to serving and helping those where darkness is all around them. I hope that when I do pass to the spirit world, that I may have just been able to shed a small crack of light into one person's life. I very much believe if I can move to the spirit world and look back and recognize that I've made one small change to one small person's life, then I hope that my life has then been worthwhile and worthy of this office. I say thank you, and thank you for coming. I very much appreciate all of your support. I have not just today, you've all supported me, many of you for many, many years, and especially want to say thank you to my parents back home who are watching on Zoom. I'm sorry we can't be together today, but I've always appreciated that support from all of you. To John. John has been my oldest friend. He's been someone that I trust implicitly with everything. And again, we talked today about being each other's ministers. John is my minister. He's somebody that I reach out to in those moments of crisis when I need help for guidance. And honestly, the love and support from my family back home, from John, and of course, my family here, my wife, my father and mother-in-law in particular, we've got uncles and aunties here, my cousins. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your family in the last 5 years. You know, without you and your support, I wouldn't be able to be here today to do this work. So a lot of love from me to everybody. And of course, I thanked them at the beginning, but again, thank you to Reverend TC and Reverend Jim for allowing me the honour to serve. And thank you guys, and I hope I'll see you all at the reception afterwards. And thank you, and God bless.
Isn't that wonderful? You know, I had written down here, short address from new minister. That was my first mistake today.
That was short.
That was a good one, yeah? Wow. So let's continue with the service. And now I would just like to extend an invitation for those on Zoom to start with, to give appropriate thanks. And then we'll follow it up with anyone in person, and we will offer you a microphone, which Lori Ann will come around and share it with you. Just please stand and speak clearly. TC, anybody?
Ask them to raise their hands.
Yes.
Ask them to.
Oh, yeah. Please raise your hands on Zoom if you would like to offer an expression of appreciation to Andy and thanks.
They've already shared a lot of expressions in the
Okay.
chat.
Okay. So,
There's one there.
oh, but wait, there's more.
Andy is my beacon. Thank you, Andy.
Sure. Oh, who do we have?
Colin Bates.
Colin.
Hi everyone, I'm Minister Colin Bates of the Spiritualist National Union and also a fellow tutor of the Arthur Findlay College. And really, we're just on behalf of all your fellow tutors, I am just so proud and honoured to call you my friend in all the things that you do, in all the love that you bring, just by being you, just the way you are. Congratulations from each and every one of us. And as you move forward in life, know how much you are loved by each and every one of us. Congratulations.
Thank you, Colin.
And now let's have an opportunity for anyone within our in-person congregation to stand and share their appreciation or their thoughts for Andy. Lorianne up front.
I just love this guy. I adore him. He's got a big heart. He loves everybody. He's always been so caring. I'm gonna get emotional. I just wanna say that what you see is what you get with him. He's a great guy, and he's been a great husband to my daughter, and it's my son. I think of him as my son, and I love you, and I'm so proud of you.
I'm not sure anyone can top that.
Congratulations, Andy. I'm really happy to be here today to see you accept this honor. I would just like to thank you personally for the level of skill and professionalism that you have brought to the mediumship training here in this place and in other places that I've studied with you. And for me, every time I get to be taught by you, it's an honor. So thank you very much and congratulations today.
What can I say? Andy, you are such an inspiration to so many people. You have given us guidance. You have shown us the inside of the world of spirit. You continue to inspire each one of us as your students. Just having the opportunity to listen to you, and I'm sure that the unseen world it's so proud of you as well, and all the people that are in the world of spirit. They also say thank you. So thank you so much.
I'd like to invite Donna Becker. Oh, carry on.
No.
Wait. This is the fun part.
That's okay.
Okay.
Oh boy. I have been with you, Andy, in your journey here in Canada since you first started. And I thank myself for being smart enough to take your courses. I'm not always that bright, let me tell you, but it's been such an honor to be tutored, and not just because of the quality of your mediumship, but the level of the human being that you are. You're fantastic, and thank you. A terrific example to spiritualism. Congratulations.
Near the end of your talk, you were saying that if you, throughout your lifetime, if you could just reach one person and change one person's life, then you would know. You have no idea how much you've changed my life. Not only as being a mentor, but allowing me to heal my own personal trauma with organized religion and finding spiritualism, finding a community and friendship within here, and helping me understanding what it is that I'm truly meant to do and how I am myself to serve spirit. And you're just amazing. You give from your soul till you have nothing left to give, and you ask for nothing in return. And that is something you do not experience a lot in this world. We're very grateful to have you, and I am so blessed that I followed that intuition from Spirit that brought me to you. Thank you very much.
There is only one thing that Andy asks of us, and that's to follow the exercise.
Reverend Andy, I want to congratulate you today. You've been a very, very good man in the last 5 years I've seen you. You've got a lot of courage and you always try to help everybody that you meet. I want to congratulate you today for being a reverend, and I know that you will do a fantastic job in your life. Congratulations. Thank you.
Andy, on behalf of the officers and members of Hillcrest Masonic Lodge, they've asked me to convey their congratulations to you this day. And look forward to seeing you next Monday. Anyone else? Anyone online? No? Right. This now brings our ordination service this day to a close. And I'm going to invite Reverend Andy Bing to step forward and close our ordination service with his very first prayer as a minister.
Please pray with me for a few moments. As we begin to enter into that stillness within ourselves, may we simply become aware of that power, of that divine power that runs through all living things, knowing that that power connects us not only to life and to each other, but to that true expression of who we are. As we leave this service today, in the days and weeks ahead, may we become ever mindful of that power within, giving ourselves permission to build a relationship with it, enabling that power to be manifested in this world, to inspire those that we meet, and to allow ourselves to fulfill that true spiritual potential and expression. May we thank our friends and loved ones in the spirit world for being part of the service today, for drawing close to us in our hour of need, inspiring us, uplifting us, and encouraging us when there is no one left but them to encourage. We thank that power for being part of our life. We thank that power for leading us all here today to be together as one family. And we pray that we, as that power does, can uplift and make life-lasting changes to our community and the world in which we live. Amen.
On behalf of the Bing family, I've been asked to extend an invitation for each of you to join at a celebration and to give your personal thanks there if you so wish. I have the address, so please see me if you don't have the address. Oh, well, I don't know. Take a picture of it quick. Good. Yes, okay. And if you would be so kind as just to come a little after 3 o'clock, that would be wonderful. Is 3 o'clock good? Yes. Okay, right. Maybe 3:15, okay? Yeah, just be safe, right? Okay. All right.
How late can we stay?
It's not a pajama party, okay? Thank you, and now we will have our closing song.